Welcome back to the Create Harmony podcast. Let me tell you what you're going to find here. In this space, we settle into an intentional rhythm, and it's one that helps us savor life's blessings and ground ourselves in gratitude. And today, we get to expand that space a little wider. I'm going to be joined by a guest whose work and presence reflect much of what we value here at Create Harmony: connection, intention, and a deep respect for the rhythms that shape our lives. So wherever you are, settle in, take a breath, and join us for this conversation. Welcome back to the Create Harmony podcast. This summer, we're really taking a look at some summer hobbies, and they don't have to be summer hobbies. They're hobbies. We're just talking about hobbies. And the reason we're doing that is because we're always trying to elevate the conversations around peacemaking and how to live a more peaceful and joyful life. And we believe that taking some time to rest and restore and recoup can be an important part of that process. So today we have a really great guest. I know you're going to love him. His name is Hayne Griffin, and he is a firefighter by day, but also has tons of outdoor hobbies and all kinds of great things that we're going to talk about today. So welcome, Hayne.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sally. This is fun. I guess I'm a firefighter by day and night because we work 24s.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Firefighter. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of different times. So I would love for you, will you just, before we get into your hobbies, will you just tell us a little bit about what the life of a firefighter is like?
Absolutely. So, I have worked for the Asheville Fire Department for 18 years now, and I had no previous fire experience. When I got into it, I literally got into it thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be doing this just for a few years," because I had a business that I wanted to get off the ground, and I thought, well, this would be a nice little bridge to getting that going, because we had a surprise pregnancy. Our daughter was conceived and about to be born, and we wanted to create some space to have more, Erica at least have a couple of years with her. So that was the original idea. I went in it thinking, oh, I remember when I first said something about getting into firefighting, Erica, my wife, she just laughed. She was like, oh, that's like police officer, military soldier. This is just a boy's dream. And I said, no, well, people had encouraged me. We think it'd be a good fit with how you're wired. I got into it. I went through an 8-month academy, really loved it, made some lifelong friends. And then once I got into the fire service, right before I rode my truck for the first time, we graduated, and the chief of the department kind of gave us a commission going on. And one of the things he said, there's no other job where every day you go to work, you step into the worst day of somebody's life to make it better. And that resonated with me in a way that, it just made my heart kind of sing. And I was like, man, I haven't thought about it that way. I was just kind of looking like this is a stepping stone. And 18 years later, here I am still doing it. So we do work 24-hour shifts. So we're there. I go in at 7 a.m. I come home. It's 7 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
Sometimes we sleep at night. Oftentimes we don't. I will say, as almost a 47-year-old doing this for 18 years, I'm getting a little tired of the nights, but it's still a quality work. So I continue to do it. The connections that you make, like the guys that I work with, are always together. So in a sense, it's almost like we're an athletic sports team because we learn to work together. We know what each other's thinking. My engineer, which is a fancy word for my driver, and my senior firefighter who rides the back, we've been together for a decade. And we almost don't have to talk to each other on calls. We know exactly what we're going to do. So it's just super rewarding work. You carry a lot of heavy stuff. You see a lot of heavy stuff. We carry that together. I'm very intentional about us never burying things deep to talk about them. And then also very intentional about finding time, which we're going to be talking about today, whatever that looks like for people, whether it's a hobby or just what we're doing in that free time to decompress. Because whether you're a firefighter or you're in a business or you're a school teacher or you're a mom, whatever you're doing, the whole gamut, life is hard. And there's seasons where it's beautiful and it feels easier. And there's seasons where you're not sure if you can get to the next weekend. So, but yeah, that's kind of a real quick snapshot. So we do live together. and we cook together. I mean, everything you see in the movies, the calls in the movies are a little exaggerated, but but as far as a firehouse life, we know each other's families, each other's kids. We hang out outside of work. We spend a lot of time. We cook meals together. We pull pranks on each other. All the stuff you see in the movies, that is firehouse culture. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
One of the things you said that I really like, and it's sort of a bridge to the hobby discussion, is intentionality. We talk a lot about
Yes.
intentionality here
Hmm.
in our conversations because we believe that being intentional, we don't get to control everything about life, but we do
Right.
control what we focus on and what we are
Absolutely.
intentional about. That's really like the only thing we control in life. And we think that's an important point to be made to notice and recognize that you can be intentional about where you put your focus. So
Absolutely.
I know that you have a lot of outdoor hobbies. So just kind of give us an overview of what are your favorite things to do in your time away from the firehouse?
It's funny because this morning preparing for this, I asked my wife, I was like, what would you say? Because I do a lot of different things. What are your, if someone asks you, what are Haynes' three hobbies? She said, this is what they are. She said, first is mountain biking. She said, that
Okay.
is without a doubt your hobby. She goes, second is rock climbing. So I'm a climber. I've climbed for a long, long time. And these are two very dangerous, at
Mhm.
least not, I mean, have some danger to them activities. And the third is I'm a watercolor painter, which is the complete opposite of the other. And that's something that I picked up a few years ago. So, and yeah, going back to the intention, I'm very intentional to create space for it. Even my wife knows when I am in space where she knows I need to disconnect, she'll look at me and say, "You need to go ride your bike. Like
Mm.
you need to make space to get on your bike and get away today." So, um, and I think that intentional, just kind of circling back to that real quick, I think that in this culture, and I see so many people, I work with people this way, because of social media, because of entertainment, because of television. I'm not saying those are bad things to do with your leisure time, but they don't require any intention. It's real simple. It's just right in your pocket. It's something that you can pop up. And I know for myself, trying to be very intentional to say, okay, those are the easy, that's the low hanging fruit in my leisure time that I can just pop something on. I wouldn't really call it a hobby, but being intentional with your time to say, hey, I'm not going to sit and veg out all the time. I'm going to do something with intentionality that I know is really healthy for me. Not just riding a bike is physically healthy for me, but it's actually mentally and spiritually healthy for me, which,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that your description of, it kind of raises the question of like what is a hobby?
Hmm.
And I like that your answer to that. I didn't ask you that question, but
Yeah.
the answer is something that you can do that will
Hmm.
lift your spirits, soothe your soul,
Right.
sometimes work your body
Yeah.
and your mind, just all of the things. I love
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you decide which of those things, like when you said your wife said you need to ride your bike, how do
Yeah.
you know you don't need to do a watercolor painting
Right.
that
Well,
day?
ironically, I usually watercolor paint when it's raining. When I
Interesting. When
actually
you
can't.
can't ride your bike or rock climb.
Right, and when there's just a lot of water everywhere, I have abundance of it falling from the sky. So that's usually when I do that. Also, will often paint at night, and I don't paint nearly as much as I ride or I climb. The riding for us, and I know that because you and I are connected through your brother. Um, Black Mountain, and that's where I live, and the area. So it is a mountain biker's paradise. Like the amount of trails we have, and it's just so easily accessible. We can jump in the car and we can be at these trails anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. We have, I mean, almost 100 miles of trail to access. So that's easy. Climbing takes a little bit more intentionality, and climbing is something I always have to do with somebody else. It's just too dangerous, in my opinion. I'm not going to free solo. I'm not an Alex Honnold, or there's even guys that are really, really good that can use rope. They know how to use ropes alone. I just haven't given it that kind of time. So that's going to be something I'm doing joint with somebody. The reason why I love those hobbies, and often why I select those two, and I can do it with watercolor, um, is that when I am on the bike, when I'm on the rock, that's all I can think about.
Mm,
So, in the same way that we take vacations, Say, hey, I'm going to take a week's vacation. I'm going to take 2 weeks, whatever that looks like. I know folks have different vacation schedules. The whole purpose of that is to leave your normal grind, to get out of that space, and to renew, or in the case of mountain biking, is recreation, which I hope I'm saying this right. Uh, epitomology, is that the word? I think.
Sure.
I think the epitomology, which would be the history of a word, you know,
Mm.
recreation is just recreation. It's
I
just
love that.
recreating yourself. So, which is the same as renewal. So, where a vacation, let's just say to the beach, it pulls you out for a week, where you've left that space that you're always in. When I mountain bike, when I'm rock climbing, my dog could have passed that morning, but when I'm 400 feet in the air and I'm climbing, I can't think about it. It's not that I'm escaping thinking about it, but whatever's going on in my life that's heavy, whatever's going on, um, that requires my attention, and that can often hyper focus on, particularly in a culture where we're just so inundated with doing and accomplishing and moving forward, to do something that rips me out of it so quickly. Because when you're 200 feet in the air and you're making the next move to continue up, I'm not thinking about the report I need to do at work. I'm not thinking about the next task. All I'm thinking about is what's in front of me. And it's the same thing going downhill on a mountain bike. I can just think about what's in front of me. So I think what's healthy about that is that it forces me to live in the present moment. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm just thinking about what's right there in front of me.
I love
And
that.
and I enjoy doing that. It's a practice. It's it's no different than in a sense of meditation. And I mean, it has its different nuances. But I'm a meditation guy. I'm a yoga guy. I'm a big breath guy. And we even teach in the fire department when people are struggling with something that's emotionally challenging, we teach them box breathing. We teach them all these types of breath work where they're focusing on their breath. They are removing themselves from the situation that's in their mind just to create some space. So, climbing and mountain biking, I love the activity. I love the movement. There's obviously some level of danger to it. So I wouldn't say, a lot of folks are like, well, I just have, maybe listening to this, I'm just not going to go climbing, or I'm just not going to go. That's totally fine. My
Yeah.
question would be, what is something that you do or something that you would have interest in doing that may feel challenging, but you know that when you're participating in it, it will completely put you in the present moment. And that's what I love about particularly climbing and riding, is it just sucks me completely out. So I just all I can think about is just the present.
Yeah, that's a great well, and we've done some conversations around rest, which as a culture, I don't think we're particularly skilled at,
No.
but we talked about the fact that there are so many different forms of rest and that we
Yes.
as a culture sometimes think, "Okay, I'm gonna take a nap and then I'm gonna be fully rested."
Mhm.
That's not gonna move us beyond burnout, that you sometimes need a different kind of rest than you're doing. And this your description of that really seems like a form of rest to me. Seems
Absolutely.
rest, social rest, all the things, and I like that hits on that. And I have
Yep.
different hobbies from yours. Mine are not as I mean, not that many people wanna get or have a conversation about jigsaw puzzles, I don't think, um,
I love it.
but I do that, and it's the same type.
Yeah.
It's focusing on the puzzle, and sometimes doing the puzzle, I'm not in the present moment so much,
Mhm.
but I am distracted enough that my brain will not spin. I can think through something more deeply and contemplatively because I have the puzzle in front of me, and so I loved your description of that.
And for me, I can definitely paint and be thinking about other things, you know?
Mhm.
It's because there's not a little bit of that, danger factor that requires my full attention. But just like jigsaw puzzles, I can get so immersed in the movement, so immersed in whatever I'm doing, that it does take me out of that space, which I just think is really really healthy. And kind of piggybacking what you said about rest, like we all know, I mean, doctors say you need 8 hours. of rest a day. There's even a number assigned to it as far as our health. For those who are more spiritually inclined, I mean, we know, at least in the Christian tradition, like the divine said, there's a Sabbath. You need to take a day where you're not in the grind, you're not doing anything. So I'd also want to be really, I'm very aware that it's a privilege that I even have a hobby, even just a hobby, much less three that I get to enjoy. Because for so many people, they're just trying to keep food on the table, you know.
Yeah, that's a
So,
great point.
so
That's
I'm very grateful for that. Very, very grateful for that. But yeah, I know for me, I need to go usually on 2 or 3 bike rides a week. I know that that puts me in really good space. I know when I go for a climb, I need to spend a good 3/4 of a day on the rock to really get in that sweet spot. And I know when I paint, and painting is just kind of almost like a pardon me, it's like a quickie. Painting is just it's just something to say, "Hey, I'm gonna sit down. This is gonna take me 30, 45 minutes," but it does give me something that is valuable to helping me reset. So,
right. I love that. And I think you made a great point about the fact that maybe we're going to all have seasons of life where hobbies don't fit in as easily. And
right.
during those seasons, I mean, sometimes we have to come up with a little micro hobby if we can fit that in. Just tiny. We're all about like tiny little increments. If you can't fit in a,
Mhm.
you know, 2 week silent retreat, that's fine. Fit in 3 minutes of meditation. Um,
Absolutely.
because we're all going to have seasons about that. So now I want to circle back to something you said a few minutes ago, that the way that Hayne and I connected is that my brother lives in the Black Mountain area and he is very outdoorsy. And I told Hayne right before we got on the recording that I sent my brother a text and said, "I'm looking for somebody with some outdoor hobbies. Do you know anybody?" And he texted back, "Well, yeah." He's really into this the same as Hayne, and he pointed me in Hayne's direction. But before we started recording, you talked about the connection that you guys had formed
Mhm.
through these hobbies, and I'd love for you to say a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So Adam and I we're very different professionally. We do very different things. So he's in the real estate world, and I'm in the first responder world. So very, very different. We met through a mutual friend who, through a real estate transaction that I was involved with, it was like, oh my gosh, like this dude, you guys are like carbon copies. Like you're gonna have this let us introduce you to your next great friend, which is basically what happened, which is wonderful. And where we really connected was cycling. And he and I, there's something to about sharing that space with somebody else. My wife also rides, and it's a newer hobby for her. There's something also about play
Mm,
and about being in those spaces and sharing that with someone, that it not only builds a really strong bond that I think is wonderful. What it also does is it just creates space for vulnerability and connection. And that's something that, as Adam and I, your brother, I
yeah.
assume people when I say Adam understand what I'm talking about. That,
Yep.
yeah, the Adam and I, I mean, I would say he's one of my dearest friends, and we've just shared so much together, so much life together. We talk about our kids are really similar ages. So we talk about our kids and parenting, and we talk about what we're struggling with, and we talk about all these different types of things that create a level of, in a healthy way, vulnerability that has allowed us not only to get to know each other really well, but to build trust with each
Mm,
other. And those friendships, where you feel I have complete trust in this person. Those are just special, special friendships. So it also provides, for doing it with somebody else, having those things that we do. I think it provides space for really close connection with someone else.
I love that you said that, and I think that, I mean, I haven't experienced life as a man, but it looks like to me that that's a little harder to develop in a man's world, that many of the ways
Absolutely.
which men connect don't inspire a lot of vulnerability and deep
Yes.
connection. So,
Yes. Yeah. We.
I if you have anything to say about how to move in that direction, that would be great.
Yeah. I think that's so rich what you said. So, and I've had this conversation with multiple people. At least I can just speak for my wife's experience, and I don't want to be. This is a generalization. Forgive me for if this is a stereotype, but for females, it's just easier to connect. Like you can just sit down, you have that instant connection. Guys are different that way. It doesn't mean that that's universal, but if guys have something to do, or like a hobby, like they're doing something together, or I say this all the time for the firehouse. Every single firehouse should have a fire pit in the
Mm.
back of the firehouse. There's something for dudes when they sit around a fire and they build a fire and they can sit and stare at that thing burning. They don't have to look at each other in the eye. They're not looking at each other's faces. They're just staring at a fire. They just start talking. They just start talking. And it's amazing the things that guys will bring up and share. My father-in-law talks about cigars. He had a cigar group, and they would get together every Friday afternoon and just sit around and light up cigars and talk for 2 or 3 hours. If you put those, it's true. He said it. It's so true. If you put those guys together and took the cigars away, it would be crickets. But you put those cigars in their hands. They got something to fiddle with and something that they're burning. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it goes back to the primal thing with maybe boys burning trash in the yard. You burning, all of a sudden it creates this connection. And I think that that's how the hobby's been, for Adam and I. Even we love bikes and we love riding, and that's been this thing for us that we participate in. But it's allowed this really great connection. And I don't think that that's just unique to our gender. But I do think for guys, it's very helpful.
Yeah, I love that you talk about that. We talk a lot about the idea that as our culture has moved in the direction of it's a very device forward
Right. Yes.
culture, and I mean myself included, like
Oh, yeah.
I think devices are great. I think they add a lot of value,
Mhm.
and two things can be true at the same time, and they move us in the direction of a more agitated state.
Yes.
So I think all of these
Yeah.
things that you're talking about are a step away from living in such an agitated mental
A
state.
Absolutely. Even, using devices and talking about intentionality. I said this to my children about multiple things. Your phone, social media is just a thing. It's not good or bad.
Right.
It's just a thing. Fire is just a thing. And if you put fire in its proper context, the wood stove, it brings warmth and life. You can use social media in a way that actually brings connection with people you haven't seen. It's the context that you're putting in. But if I take the fire out of our wood stove and I put it on the couch, that's the wrong context. We're all running out of the house because it's about to burn down. It's going to hurt us. And social media is very, very similar. It's like just how are you intentionally using it? And what are the spaces that are healthy for you? What are the spaces that are, where's your cell phone's wood stove and where's your cell phone's couch?
Oh, I love
You
that. That's a
know?
great I'm
Yeah.
gonna be asking myself that question a lot. Like, is this the wood stove or is this the couch?
Yeah, and I'll be
How
the first to
years ago.
say, I'll be the first to say we use it in the wood stove a lot, but I catch myself almost daily or even definitely multiple times a week. Oh my gosh, I think I moved it to the couch right now. Let's snuff it out and let's put it back in its proper space.
Right. And I think the more I allow my life to get agitated, the more I ramp it up and don't take time for those restorative hobbies,
Right.
the more I find that the device becomes the couch.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So,
I've said a lot of times I am 10 times more likely to say yes to something when my schedule is overloaded. That if I'm really, really
right.
busy, I'll be like, "Yep, sure, great idea."
Yes, yes, yes.
Slowing down a little bit, even a beat, and saying, "Does that make sense for you?" is very that's what I need to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. And taking it, I mean, going back to our hobby, I love how these things are coming, full circle. Being intentional to protect that time. I have literally said no many times to things that would earn me money, things that my work has asked me to do extra. And I say no because I want to go ride my bike.
Mm.
I say no because I want to go hang out with Adam. I say no because I want to take my kids climbing. Um, it's being very intentional to say, okay, um, I'm a big obviously, you've heard me use a lot of metaphors. I tell my kids and myself all the time, get in the balcony.
Mm.
So whatever's going on, metaphorically get in the balcony where you can see the big picture. And you
Yeah.
know that you need to be intentional about certain things in your life. So let's see things from above in the balcony and then intentionally decide, you know, what, obviously we got to go to work. There's certain things we have to do, but then being protective of our leisure time, being protective of that free time, because it is so important to rest, whether we're in the bed or whether we're painting or doing a jigsaw puzzle or riding a bicycle.
Yeah. I love that you said it like that because I think that that is, it's all about and very aligned with the conversations that we're always having here, which is try to find more ways to live peacefully. And I think
Hmm.
I've said this many, many, many times over the course of this podcast that years ago I had an epiphany that I had to-do lists about all sorts of things. I wanted my life to be peaceful.
Yeah.
I had to-do lists about all sorts of things, none of which related or aligned with peace. All of them were about,
Right.
fitness or organization or family life or all the things that
Right.
productivity, the things we do, which
Yeah.
are all good. But I
Yeah.
was wanting something more of something in my life and not putting much attention on it. And I think that's
Hmm.
one of the ways in which we really want to elevate these conversations of how can you create a practice that's gonna
Yes.
invite that into your life, and I think another point that I feel like you've made throughout this is sometimes it's gonna be hard to do that
Hmm.
you're gonna have days when your device is more like the couch, and you're gonna have
Yeah.
to catch yourself and think, "Oh gosh, reset,"
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
realign with
Yeah.
that, so
And that's okay. I
yeah,
mean,
sure, that's
I think,
life.
yeah, I think we can get down on ourselves and be like, "Oh, man, I just doom scrolled for an hour. Like, I could have been doing a puzzle, or or I could have had coffee with a friend," and to have the grace with ourselves to say, "Ah, I called it. I'm gonna make myself more aware in the future, but hey, it is what it is." And we just move on.
It's just part of the rhythm. So I would
Mhm,
love to hear if you have any advice for somebody considering some more hobby time. Is there
mhm.
any other piece of advice that you would have?
Well, maybe this will entice people to kinda create more of that space. So we talked about being in the present, and that's absolutely what my hobbies have done for me. I think the other thing that hobbies have done for me is that it is they have helped me get out of dualistic thinking. So what I mean by that is, particularly in this culture, everything at some level is black and white. Like, there's right, there's wrong, there's black, there's white. You do it this way, you don't do it this way. Do do do. Um, and something also for me about being in a hobby, and maybe this would help someone, is that is there something that you can do where there really is no right or wrong? It's You're not going to jump in it and think, oh, and we can definitely create that in those activities. I'll use biking as an example. I'm not fast enough.
Mm.
Or, "Oh, I didn't climb that fast enough," or, "I missed this, I did that wrong." And to let go of that, to say, "No, I'm just gonna go for a ride. I'm just gonna enjoy it for the pleasure of it." Or whether you're working a puzzle, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't see I'm doing this wrong." No, 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 you're just participating in an activity, and the whole point also is to remove this dualistic mind of it has to be black, it has to be white, it has to be it's right or it's wrong. When I watercolor paint, one of the things I do is it's all abstract for the most part. It's like abstract landscapes. And what I love about it is there is no right or wrong way to do it. I'm just sending it. And sometimes it looks great, and sometimes it looks awful. Like this was a bad choice. I shouldn't have done that. But I don't look back on it and think, "Oh, I did that wrong."
Yeah.
Or it's like, no, I did something and it just happened the way that it happened, and I enjoyed the time. I'm not gonna frame it and put it on the wall, but it was something that I participated in, and I just kinda let it be what it was. And I think when we are in hobbies, and that could be something for anybody, whether it's I I'm a yoga practitioner. When I first started doing yoga, I was so hell-bent on, "I gotta do the poses right. I gotta do this. Oh, I can't do crow right now. Well, I'm not any good at this. I don't wanna do this anymore." To say, "No, this is a journey, and there's no right or wrong. Just enjoy what you're doing." So, for the listener, is there an activity that twofold, one will whatever you're doing will encourage you to just be in the present moment, to experience the present. It'll suck you out of whatever happened earlier in the day or whatever you're worried about in the future. It'll take you out of that space, which would creates instant peace in my heart. And then secondly, is there something that I can get involved with just for the pure joy of doing it with no expectation of doing it right, doing it perfect, that you can just enjoy it for what it is. And when Adam and I were a lot younger, we talked about, we were writing and you wanted to do things certain ways. And now we're in our late 40s and we're like, screw that. Let's just enjoy being outside and just enjoy nature and enjoy the ride.
Just get
So
on the bike. Yeah, I
just
love
get on
that.
the bike. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great, very wise advice. I feel like life is so much more nuanced than our media likes for us to think. We have a
Absolutely.
tendency media has a tendency to create strong and fast categories,
Yes.
which are not real. And I think
Right.
there is a lot more nuance. What I thought of when you were talking, one of my other hobbies is gardening, and that will
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
teach you. Gardening is a great teacher because you can do all the things right and your plant can look amazing, or you do all the
Mhm.
things right and your plant dies. And it's just
Right.
a reminder that like, okay, life is like that.
Right.
That's what that made me think of when you were talking.
Absolutely. And to learn to accept when things go wrong, they go
Sure.
wrong. It's
It's
just
okay. That's okay. You just start
yeah.
again. I mean, just like yoga, if it's not today you might not be feeling as limber or strong or whatever, and you just have that day, and then the next day you might be amazing at it, you know?
That's right. Yeah, yeah, 2 days ago, I was what pose was I in? A frog. I don't know all the Hindu words, but I was in some pose. I did on my left side, and it was like, "Man, that felt great." I go to my right side, and I'm like, "What is wrong?" Like, I can't even and 4 days ago, I could do it, and today I can't. And just to say, "Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
fine."
just today. That's a
Yep,
moment, and then we move on to the next moment, and tomorrow might be amazing, and
absolutely.
the sun is gonna shine, and the garden is gonna grow, or whatever it is. So I
Yeah.
love that piece of advice.
There's a wonderful, commencement speech by Roger Federer. I'm not know if you're familiar with Roger Federer.
Yes.
It was in 2024. I can't remember. I think he was in an Ivy League school, and he was giving a commencement speech. But he talked about success and failure, which was it's really interesting, and it's kinda gone viral now. But this was fascinating to me. Yeah, arguably one of the greatest tennis players in history. And he said, "I won 80% of my matches," which is unbelievable. I mean, it's why he was so good. He said, "Now, if you break that statistic down to how many points I won in my matches, I only won 56%,"
Wow.
which blew my mind.
Yeah,
He said, "So I won 80% of my matches, but I won only 50% of the 56% of the points in those matches."
yeah.
So he goes, "That's very thin." But what he talked about was mental fortitude, and he talked about letting go. And he
Uh,
said, "So what I learned," and I thought this was beautiful, "is that when I lost a point, the point's over. I didn't dwell on it anymore. The points I lost it, that's fine. And then when I won the point, I didn't dwell on it either.
also the point's over.
The point's over. Here's the next thing." And I think that that's what's beautiful about a great leisure activity or a hobby is to say, "Hey, I'm just moving through, and I'm just going to move to what's right in front of me, just the next thing." And for him, he had this super long career where he was very successful. He was obviously a great athlete and worked really hard. But I think the mental space that he approached it, uh, the mental space that he used to approach what he did was it's just such a valuable lesson with anything, parenting. I mean, pick it, parenting, work,
Yeah.
hobbies, leisure. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
aging. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you are, and so I
yeah,
can see, especially as my parents are aging, and, you know, you just have to approach that with, okay, today's
absolutely.
not the best day, but then tomorrow might
Mhm.
be better, and I'll just
Yep.
deal with what comes, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Hayne, thank you so much for sharing all these nuggets of wisdom. This has been a
Well, thank
great
you.
conversation. I love
It's
it.
been
I love
fun.
it. Love it. So I can't wait. I'm just picturing all of our listeners hearing all of this wisdom and getting out on their bikes or in their gardens or with their paints.
Well, what wisdom's there has come from the school of hard knocks, without a doubt. So, as we were sharing earlier before we hit record, we've there've been a lot of hard things that have happened in life, and I've really chosen to, rather than ignore the pain, to press into it, and that's really helped create a lot of this space to look at these moments that are more peaceful, these seasons of life that are easier to say, okay, how can I engage in these things in a more valuable way?
I
So,
love that. Yeah, you did talk a little bit about your suffering being a learning point for you, and
yeah.
I'd love it if you have anything else to say about that. I'd love to hear it.
Sure. I mean, um, I was raised in a very conservative Southern Christian, background, which I love. This is going to sound really weird when I say this out loud to some listeners, but I mean this. I am a proud son of Christian evangelicalism.
Huh.
Now, I know that there's a lot of things in Christian evangelicalism that were difficult, and I know that a lot of people are very wounded by it. And there's a lot of things I had to work through as well. I no longer classify myself as an evangelical. I still classify myself as a Christian, as someone that follows Christ, but I've also tried to open up I have, to Eastern wisdom. So I've studied the Tao Te Ching. I have Buddhist friends that I listen to, um, and one of the things that really stood out to me with Eastern mysticism is that suffering is a gift. Pain is a gift. It's not
Mm.
something that we should run away from. It's not something that we should avoid at all cost. That is actually our teacher. And that Richard Rohr says we are transformed by either great pain or great love. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to say. But the way that usually what gets us that great love, if we allow it to, is to go through great pain. It sucks us completely out of this idea of we're in control. It sucks us completely out of this idea of ego, or what I would call capital E ego, which is very uh, uh, unhealthy. That's my ego on the couch, not in the wood
Mhm,
stove.
mhm.
And then the lowercase ego, which is what keeps me from running red lights and actually catching my house on fire, or eating healthy food, self-preservation. But realizing, hey, these moments in life, they're going to inevitably come. And for me, I was participating in my hobby. I was in a really bad bike crash.
Mm.
I was injured for a while. And then for my wife, who she's 5 years out of a metastatic breast cancer diagnosis and has done all the heavy lifting and is doing super well. But these moments to say, okay, these things have come. How can these be my teacher? Because suffering's a teacher. And that's very, I honestly think Jesus is saying a lot of that too. It just kind of got lost. Um,
Yeah, for
it got,
sure.
it got kind of truncated. Well, this is a whole nother podcast, so I'm not going to jump into that. but but that these things that happen in our life can be our teachers. So really trying to pay attention to that. And when you do, you start to see that everything's kind of interconnected. Rohr has this whole thing about how everything belongs. He has a book written or
Right.
entitled Everything Belongs. He said, that's all I want on my tombstone. My
Mm.
tombstone should just say Father Richard Rohr with the dates, and then under it, it just says everything belongs. And that everything does. That if we do believe in a redemptive universe, which I do, we do believe in a redemptive divine being, that it's all being redeemed. And whether we go through a moment, I'm just use America right now, where we've had seasons in our country's history of great growth, and then seasons for me that feel like a big step backwards.
Mm.
That's the journey. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that step back is often what pushes us forward. It all belongs. It all belongs somehow.
I
S
like that description of it. That's a
Mhm.
very, yeah, I think that's amazing that, and I think it's important to note, like when you talked about your suffering, what I heard there was it's important what you're focusing on through that suffering process. I mean,
Absolutely.
again, just like we've been saying, what you're
Mhm.
focusing on, that's the only thing you really control.
That's it. That's really it, and how you're interacting with it. Because if I'm really being honest, most things that are happening, I'm in not control of what's happening. It's just happening, but I am very much in control of how I respond to it, how I interact with it. And I think that the value of rest and the value of engaging in our leisure time with hobbies it allows us it gives us healthier space to respond and to react to all the things that are going on.
Yes, yes, for
So
sure. I'm a big meditator also, and I always say in the seasons that I meditate more, it increases my mental agility. I'm able
absolutely.
to have more mental agility when I
Mhm.
am resting my brain in that way. So,
I'm more forgiving
yes.
of myself. I'm more forgiving of Erica, my wife. I'm more forgiving of my kids. I'm more forgiving of my coworkers. It's, because I've mentally gotten myself out of the fray,
Yeah,
and that's the value of leisure and hobbies.
absolutely. Well,
So,
thank you again, Hayne.
yeah.
I feel like I could keep talking all day long and coming up with a million wise things. I mean, I feel like I need to be writing things down as you're talking, but I'm going to be listening back to this a whole lot because you've really shared a lot of wisdom with us in such a humble and gentle way, and that's been
Well,
awesome.
thanks. You're making me blush. I appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. I think maybe we should get you back on another time, and we could talk about some more stuff. We talk all
Hey,
it sounds like there's a lot more we could talk about, so
hey, let's do it. You just let me know.
I would love it, I would love it. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Here at Create Harmony, we are committed to peacemaking. We are elevating conversations that help people refresh their lives and soothe their souls. And on that note, I need to remind you about our Peaceful Pathways box. Y'all, the summer box is here, and it is chock full of playful summer goodness that you are not going to want to miss. In each box, there's a link to 5 guided meditations, and some of the themes for summer are a walk through the farmer's market, running through the sprinkler in a playful way, or resting in the cool shade. And these meditations give you just enough things to keep your mind busy so that you step away from your life and calm yourself. And also in each box, there are other fun goodies that are provided by Petal and Pink Mental Wellness Boutique. So let me get you excited about what that is. What's in the summer box? What you will receive is a little mini watercoloring kit that is strawberry themed. You can just take a little time, do a little craft. It's calming and very peaceful. You'll also receive a summer garnish trio, and this is for your summer drinks. There's 3 little jars with 3 different flavors. You can add them to your water, make infused water. You can add them to your mocktails. You could put it in a cocktail, and it just elevates the moment a little bit and makes your summer drinks extra special. There's also in the box what we're calling a take a breath jar, and that is what that is. It's like a glass jar, it has a lid. You take the lid off, and there are wool balls in there that have a scent, a very calming scent. So anytime your life is just getting out of hand, you could get that jar, take the lid off, and just take some deep breaths and just breathe in that calming aroma. And it's just a way of aromatherapy and just relaxing your nervous system. So you could get a take a breath jar. And then the last thing you get are some little notes that have ladybugs on them. The envelopes have tomatoes. So they're very summery themed. You just need to jot a note to a friend. They're tiny, like about the size of a business card. So a quick little note that you could jot or drop it in a gift or something like that. Just a neat addition to all the goodness in that summer box. Now, I also want to tell you one thing about our summer box. We've been doing this as a subscription, so you had to subscribe for all of the other boxes. You don't have to do that now. You can just buy one box. If you want to just sample the summer box, you just buy that one box. And then if you like it, you could certainly subscribe and get one every quarter. But a subscription is not required. So just give it a try. Check it out. See what you think. I'm sure it is going to bless your summer in more ways than you can imagine. If you want more information about that, you can go to mycreateharmony.com and look for Peaceful Pathways box, and that's where you'll find it. And until next time, peace.